Wait. It's not moving. Okay. Okay. So in this topic today, you're going to learn about the introduction to writing SLR. You are going to formulate the problem statement, and you can apply how to do a comprehensive literature search for specifically for SLR, and you learn about the literature analysis and also to do the effective paraphrasing. And this week we are going to cover these 4 to 5 topics, and we are going to cover 5 for part 2 next week. Okay, the last week, the final week. Okay, so the learning outcomes, by the end of the lecture, you will understand the purpose and basic requirement of an effective systematic review, know how to generate searching information for systematic review by applying search strategy, and then you are going to be able to understand the principle of Boolean logic and also search syntax in relation to systematic review search strategy. And you know how to critically assess research material. You learned before about the critical appraisal, and you're going to apply it again today. And you will know how to develop strategies for data extracting, summarizing, and synthesis systematic review. And lastly, you will know how to do a paraphrasing effectively for your SLR. Okay, so here I will provide you a guidance for conducting a systematic literature review so that you will not have a last minute panic like this little guy. Okay, so today you're going to cover 1, 2, 3, 4 actually, up to paraphrasing for main topic for today. The first one, problem formulation, which topic you are going to be examining and why you choose that topic, and what aspect will be included and also excluded. And you're going to learn how to do a comprehensive literature search, identifying relevant research that you have to have the predetermined inclusion and exclusion criteria in your systematic literature review construction. Okay, and for general literature analysis, so you need to learn about how to extract the appropriate data and assess their quality and validity. So you need to do the quality assessment, and also you need to practice a critical appraisal of data, okay, of your literature that you collected, and synthesis of the data, and you're going to summarize. And after you summarize, you need to interpret and evaluate the result, and then make it in a form of review. Okay, and effective paraphrasing also we will cover as a key characteristic for SLR as well. Okay, so I made this flow chart here and also this one here for your to ease your understanding about the stages or processes in systematic literature review construction. Okay, the first one, you need to conduct or generate your research problem or research question, and then you're going to review your protocol. Which search strategy are you going to use? Which frameworks that you're going to apply in your search strategy? Okay, and you will identify relevant study. You will include and exclude the paper that you want, and you assess the eligibility. And although you will do the data extraction or checking, and then critical appraisal comes in. You will do the synthesis and knowledge translation in a form of review. Okay, same thing here. It's just I simplify it. Okay, to identify the purpose, to draft the protocol, apply practical screen, search for literature, extract data, critical appraisal, synthesis and summarizing, and then you will write your review. So this is actually when you follow this protocol or refer to these processes, it will ease your process of writing systematic literature review. I know before you learn this, maybe you just you do not have like the exact guidance. So what actually you're going you have to do in your systematic literature review, right? But somehow you already know about this. So next time when you want to do your systematic review, literature review, you just follow this flow. Okay. Okay, first for problem formulation, how you're going to create your problem, like your big question. So you should ask yourself, what useful reviews are missing or not up to date in my research area? For example, you pick your research area is molecular biology, you go and search any reviews or any recent topic that cover in your area, so that you will have your, you will generate your own idea for your review. Okay. And what new topic, what review topic would be useful for scientists or for your audience? Like what useful topic for your lecturer, for example, because she assign you one task, and then you can think what is the interesting topic to attract her attention, for example. Okay. Is there a specific aspect of this topic that my literature review might help to define? Or what is the scope of my literature review? When you have a main topic, you need to divide which scope that you want to cover, right? You just have to be specific. So you can do critical comparing different methodology approach, contrasting evidence, or assessing therapeutical potential. So this is just example. So you just need, so you pick one topic like molecular biology and then start comparing other article, or start comparing a methodological approach in that article, so that you can be more specific in your topic. Okay. Okay. So the question may be broad or narrow in order for you to formulate that question. Okay. So this formulated question will guide you for your searching strategy, inclusion and exclusion criteria, for data extraction later, and for synthesis and summarizing, and also how to present your finding in your review. Okay, this is just a quick activity, like for 10 minutes. You do not have to do it here, but when you go back and you can access my lecture notes, so you can do this activity. You find a broad topic and then you narrow it. Let's say, like I gave you an example just now about the molecular biology, or you want to study about the medicinal plant, for example, herbal medicinal plant, and you narrow it that you want to study about the anti-inflammatory of that plant, and you narrow it again, you specify which plant you want to use, okay, and discuss the potential limitation of your review question. So that is how you generate your review question. You have your broad topic and then you narrow it. Okay, so the current guidance for generating a good problem statement or review question is to have the statement in one single sentence, but you have all in it. For example, so this is just a template for you for your reference. Okay, for example, to assess the effect of intervention, treatment, or comparison for any health problem in types or diseases or problem or setting if they specify. So you have like 1, 2, 3 criteria in it. So when you do your problem statement, so I will show. Okay, there's one example after this. So you need to have like this single sentence. It's better compared to you just exaggerating things, explaining things in one long paragraph, but you do not have like this important criteria in it. So this is just an example for you. So you go back and you can copy this one and then apply into your literature review. This is just example. You can go to Cochrane or Prisma website, and they will put many types of reference for problem statement sentence there. Okay, so there are tips on writing the problem statement. So you need to tell what will be or what was done, and you need to identify variable and relationship to be studied. So there is a comparison of study as well. So you need to revise and narrow the problem statement, review the primary sources in the literature, make a list of research questions, because when you have your main topic, you will not have only one research question, right? When you want to study herbal medicinal plant of plant X in anti-inflammatory, so you will not have only one question. So you will question about the anti-inflammatory aspect, or you will question about what types of medicinal plant that you want to use, right? There are different types of questions. So you just need to make research what is the most the best question for your literature review, and you have to provide rationale for the problem. You identify variable to be studied and rewrite the problem statement in a single sentence like that I gave you just now. Okay, this is one example. So let's say the topic here is integrating emotional intelligence in e-learning system to reduce attrition rate. Okay, the first problem statement, we discuss about the emotional intelligence by looking at previous study by Koppe and Swawoff, Gardner, Coleman, and blah, 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 blah. And then the author comes with the problem statement sentence. However, research has shown that e-learning have not been able to sustain learners long in the program, and there is perhaps a correlation between emotional intelligence and attrition rate in e-learning. So he come up with a very good single sentence to explain about his problem statement. So the first he explaining about the emotional intelligence first by referring to other studies. And for this problem statement number 2, it started with the attrition instead of emotional intelligence. So it depends on you which scope in that topic that you want to stress more. So this problem statement 2 discuss about the attrition and e-learning problem, and then the author comes with the problem statement. Therefore, this study will develop an e-learning model that integrates emotional intelligence and provide activities that will encourage emotional intelligence characteristic through specialized activity that would reduce the attrition in e-learning programs. So same topic, same scope, but different approach for constructing the problem statement. So I give you these 2 types of different problem statement approach for you to compare, and you can practice it in your writing, right? So this is how actually you formulate the problem statement. Okay, the search strategy. So well-formulated question will aid in devising the best search strategy. So you need to break down question into parts or concept. You need to gather terms for each concept by synonym, abbreviation, related terms, difference within similarity. Maybe it's similar, common topic, but you can find a difference. No same literature review published, together. There must be some difference in it. So you need to find what's the difference, okay? Identify main topic area, define inclusion/exclusion criteria, define specific types of study and filtering, limit the subject, language, or year that you want to focus. Let's say you want to focus within the 5 years back, for example, and you can apply the iterative process using the terms that you can retrieve from the paper that you choose, or check search result for relevancy and numbers as well. So this is a search strategy that you can apply when you do literature search in the database. Okay, so basically, if you do not learn this, you do not know how you can start with literature search, right? What you want to type, the keyword. What keyword, what sentence you want to, some students just type the whole sentence, antioxidant of blah, 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 and enter. And then the database will give you the result, right? And one student also just use one single word, like an antioxidant. But she actually need to study about antioxidant in like HeLa cell, for example. So you need to be specific. So there are formulation framework that you can follow in order to ease your search strategy. So this framework is designed to help structure research question and clarify the main concept you want to focus, okay? So your question may not fit perfectly into this framework, but you can use just part of it, you know, which related or match your topic. Okay, so you can use, we call it PICO, SPICE, SPIDER, or ECLIPSE. So for PICO, usually for evidence-based medicine, so P is for population or patient, I intervention, indicator, comparator, or control, and O is outcome. Same goes to the SPICE, SPIDER, ECLIPSE. So this abbreviation will help you for your search strategy. How? So how you know which frameworks that you're going to use that suits your topic. So usually for PICO, it's for effectiveness of an intervention or treatment for quantitative research method. Okay, for prognostic, you can use PFO, prevalence or incident, you can use cohort. Cost effect, economic evaluation, you can use PICO, ECLIPSE or ECLIPSE. And for qualitative study, you know, you can use PICO, PURE, SPICE or SPIDER. So you can find additional evaluation not mentioned here by yourself. Okay, so the one that I showed you for 1, 2, 3, 4 types of framework is basically the main or the most used by the reviewer. Okay, okay. For example, the PICO. PICO is most widely used. Okay, so P stand for criteria that criteria for patient, population, or problem. Who and or what is my question focused on? So intervention, what intervention is being considered? C is comparison, and O is outcome. So for example, you have your topic here, alternative to drugs for controlling headache in children. So the P, patient, is the or population or problem is the children. I is the alternative to drug. C, of course, about the drug. O, the outcome is effect to the controlling for headaches, right? So this is just an example. So you go back and look at your topic and how you can apply PICO in your topic. Okay, there's also extension of PICO. We call it as a PICOS or PICOT. In PICOS, S stands for study design and T for time frame. So I give an example for PICOS here. So this is basically the problem statement for children and adolescents with ADHD. What is the comparative efficacy and safety of pharmacological and non-pharmacological treatments? So looking for the meta-analysis and systematic review. So this is a study type. So the population is children and adolescents with ADHD. So the intervention is pharmacological treatments or intervention. The comparator is non-pharmacological treatment without the treatment, and the outcome, of course, when talking about the pharmacological, it goes to efficacy and safety. And the study type is for meta-analysis and systematic review. So this is how you apply the PICOS for your framework, to your framework, okay? Okay, once you already know about the framework that you're going to use, so how you're going to use that framework for literature search, to finding the evidence, to find the literature that suits your study. Okay, so there are study selection methods. So we will jump into the number 2, comprehensive literature search. So we already finished with the problem formulation. Now it's about the literature searching. Okay, there are several study selection methods. You can use the electronic or manual search. You can save, import all citation into a folder, label according to sources. So this one you can use a software package like EndNote, and you can transfer citation according to screening level. And I will teach you how to do the screening level of your literature that you compile, okay? And you log your search. You will have your study inclusion and exclusion, okay, based on research question. Okay, for example, when you do the electronic searching, so you will describe your PICO component first. I teach you already, and you will start with the primary concept. So you have different concepts, different questions. right? Okay, so you start with the primary. So you need to prioritize which one is the most, the most primary one. And you will apply the mesh or descriptors or subheadings for your searching strategy and also the text word. And we add other component of Pico to narrow down. You may use your filter in your PubMed, for example. And when you're able to get the literature or paper you want, you will examine the abstract, right? I already teach you the 4 reading strategy. You need to extract the abstract first, read through the abstract first, and then use strategy in other database also. But first, go for the abstract before you save for the full text or the PDF. Okay. So looking at those people, so how will you describe the age of these people? Different level of age, different nationality, different colors, different genders. So how will you describe this age of the people? You need some criteria, right? Okay. So some tips for effective search strategy in your PubMed, because you're using PubMed, right? So I give example for PubMed. So you need this kind of information. For example, the synonym of thesaurus heading, or you can use the text word, keyword, or search syntax. Or you can use word variant for AIDS, for example, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or DASH deficiency, or immune space deficiency, something like that. So there are different variants. So you need to access all of this, because otherwise you will be miss some literature that related to it. Okay, so you can also apply synonyms, plural, or spelling variant. UK and US spelling variant is different, right? Okay, so for advanced search technique, I give example for Boolean searching. You can use OR, for example. Because I'm a molecular biologist, I cannot think a topic about the qualitative study. So for example, anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer or anti-inflammatory and plant X, for example. So you use or and. Or will increase the sensitivity, and will increase the specificity, not will exclude the unwanted term. But be careful when using not. Sometimes you will be missing some other good literature, because when you refer here, you want, like, let's say dog, not cat, but sometimes you will be missing some point, some literature here as well. So I do not encourage you use not. You better focus on using and or. And usually it contains both criteria that you want. You exclude the one that you do not want. Or you can use or, containing either dogs or cats, or it could be both. But this is not so specific, right? Okay. So you can also use the search syntax or text word or keyword, we call it. Okay. For example, here, so the truncation S, what, dollar here, the truncation, the symbol. So let's say you want to search for teen. I think this is the margin is already lari here. So you put teen and you put truncation here. So the searching will comes out with the teenager or teenagers, teens or teen. It's better than when you put only teen, TEEN. So the database will only give you the TEEN literature or the paper that related to TEEN. But actually this is the same meaning, right? So you can use the truncation symbol here, and also same for smoke. When you put truncation here, the smoke, it will generate you a literature that related to smoking, smokes, smoker, or smokers, because these are the same meaning. Okay, so you can use the wildcard, the question, and also the hashtag. So the question usually to substitute one or no character. For example, color, color. Woman, women. Okay. So actually, when you search only for color, COLOUR, the database will generate you the literature search that related to this word only. But actually, there are also literature that related to COLOR. So you better use the wildcard question here or the hashtag. Okay. You can use this. You can apply this when you do a literature search in your PubMed. And you can use the adjacent sport adjacent policy. So the database will generate the sport policy or policy for sport, mental adjacent health, mental and physical health, something like that. Okay, so this is an example when the PubMed interface. So let's say you want to search about the suicide or prevent and young people, youth. So you want to include hashtag 3 and 4, hashtag the young people and the youth. And also you also want to include hashtag 5 and 2 and 1. You want to include the 3 or 4 and number 2 prevent and number 1 suicide. So you can do this so that your searching is more accurate and specific. Okay, rather than you just put suicide or you type everything, young people who suicide to prevent blah blah blah. It is not specific. Sometimes you could be missing a very good literature search if you do that. Okay. Okay. Sometimes you can select limits tab just under the search string, so you can pick a language that you want, type of article, subset, or ages that you want to focus. Okay, you can do that. Okay, this is an example of search for hashtag 5 and 2 and hashtag 1. So it will give you all the related articles, so about 16. Maybe if you put like young people who suicide to prevent blah blah blah, maybe you will get like over 1,000 here. So you don't know which one you want to pick, right? So it's better to use this searching information. Okay. Okay, so this example for suicide only for MASH. Okay. And this is example of 12 and 13. So this is just a screenshot, just want to show you how the MASH in PubMed works. Okay, so you can apply. After this, you can apply. So for example, I give an example here for you to understand better. Mass media intervention to prevent smoking in young people. So find MASH and text word for searching. MASH is usually in the PubMed. Okay. For young people, when you want to use text word, young people could be the adolescent, child, teenager, young people, student, girl, boy, juvenile, youth, young adult. Okay. And MASH usually generate thesaurus for mass media intervention. For example, mass media, audiovisual aid, television, motion pictures, radios, telecommunication, newspapers, videotape, recording, right? Because when you want to focus on mass media, it doesn't necessarily have to be TV only, right? It has other thesaurus that related to the mass media. So you need to find this out. And then your literature review will be much interesting, okay? So this is a MASH descriptor data. So you can look here the entry terms, adolescents. So different types of keywords here, but generate the same meaning, okay? Okay, same like this one, the MASH term for adolescent, adult, young adult. So you can try in your PubMed later. Okay, so this is a Medline result. Like for so exclude age or middle age. So this is the total literature generated. You know, when you search like for this one, and all the senior or older or senior truncation or elderly, you'll find 4737595 related article, for the initial search. Okay, it is not specific. In order for you to get a very good literature search, you have to do that searching strategy using the information given. Okay, so this is another example, search in Medline from 2006 until 2010. So there's a time frame here for alcohol subject or subheading, about 5,000, and alcohol subject or keyword about 12,000, more wider, because alcohol, not only alcohol, it could be what brand of alcohol that you want to include in your text word, right? Young or adolescent or teen bracket review or system, like 19,000, and rows above combined with or so exclude. So there's an exclusion here. So from this 19,000, it will generate only 6,000. Okay, it's excluded. That is exclusion criteria. It depends on your keywords for your topics that you want to exclude. Let's say you want to exclude X, so you exclude X, and you want to include A, so you include A. Depends on you yourself. Okay, so for where to search, so you already learned about the literature search. So you can search from the online research for basic to get a background information. You can use your Google, Wikipedia, you can go to YouTube, okay? And also you can do general literature search using PubMed or Google Scholar or Google Books, or you want to do the specific literature search to get the details. So you use the electronic database, or you search for grey literature for conference or proceedings article, right? Okay. Basically, you already know about to do how to do the literature search, right? The databases. So this is an example for Cochrane Library. It has a collection of different types of review paper. So you can search different type of review article there, and you can register your review there also to see whether is there anyone working same topic like you, for example. And health evidence, this is just example. Guide to Community Preventive Services, National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence. So I put the website here, you can go and check, okay? It's example, Center for Review and Dissemination. Sometimes it has form here for you to download it some kind of summary. I will show you the example of the form later. So you can include your paper of interest. So you can there's a different criteria that you can fill in, so you can keep that paper for your, to help you in your writing. Okay. Okay, selecting included study. So when you already did your literature search, you already compile all your papers that you needed. So there are some selection what include in your study. Okay, sometimes you use the reference software package like EndNote. EndNote can store all your PDF file. You can do your cite while you write there. You can save your abstract there. You can do your referencing there as well, and you can retrieve your full articles from there as well. Okay, so this accessible text for inclusion, basically the one who wants to do advanced systematic literature review, like you want to publish in a journal. The one that you practice in your DRP or in your assignment is just standalone literature review, systematic literature review. So the required judgment for advanced systematic review require more than reviewer. Basically, if I want to do a review paper, I will have my my other friend, who is the co-author, co-reviewer. So she also can review what is the quality about my paper that I've already choose, Okay, so this is example how you select which study you want to include. Let's say total reference that you retrieve from your framework or keywords that you use. So you are able to retrieve like 12,074 article. The reference. And then when you go through the abstract, you find that there is some duplication, about 966. So the total abstract screen reduced to 11,000, right? And then you reject the abstract. When you go through the abstract one by one, there's some abstract that you need to exclude because it doesn't really match your topic or scope, okay? So you reject about 10,000. So you will have to retrieve full text article from the abstract about 600, right? It is, you know, you see how important for you to evaluate the abstract at the abstract level. So you know which article that you want to retrieve the full text. I don't think you want to retrieve all the articles from here, right? 12,000, you want to save where? You cannot, you cannot practice my 4 reading strategy for 12,000. I never do that. So I will do here, when I retrieve full text screen, so when I read the full text, sometimes the full text, I doesn't agree with the methodology used, so I reject. So I do not include it into my, my literature. So after rejection of the full text, the total included paper recovered is 59, right? And then I will assess the quality of that paper. So I reject 4. Maybe the finding is negative or have some bias, so I reject 4. So the final included paper is 55 for the systematic literature review. This is usually for the advanced systematic literature review. For your assignment, I only assign you at least 3. So I hope the maximum you can use is 5, because 5 is better for you to explain, you know, to do comparison. I will show you how to do the summarizing and synthesize the data after this. Only 3 for your assignment. And about your DRP, I don't know how many papers that you will include in your, maybe 20. I expect like 20, more than 20. I'm not sure. But this 55, you will know how to extract the data from it, because you find it very interesting to relate to your topic, and then how you want to extract the data from it, how you want to synthesize, how you want to summarize it, how. Okay. So jump into the number 3, general literature analysis. So at this step, you need to have your critical thinking to work at optimum. You know, you need to assess the author credential, the author point of view from the paper, whether the data that authors give is convincing or not, and also the value of the work. Okay, so the critical thinking is very important because it is the key to a good grade. So do not be afraid to criticize the expert and show your understanding of the topic. Okay, usually when I want to publish a systematic literature review, I just critique whatever I want to critique about the paper. So I do not afraid if the original author, you know, sometimes will email me, why you do this thing, it's not supposed to be like that, blah, 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 blah. So it's just about the critical thinking. Like for you, when you do the systematic standalone literature review, is the same thing, okay? You need to be able to think critically in order to synthesize and summarize the previous study. Okay. Okay. So I list here not 4, actually 5: abstract, summarize, synthesize, critique, and compare the task for literature review analysis. So the first one is data extraction. How you want to extract the data from that study. So you need to be clear about the study details, data for your analysis, which data you want to extract. You don't want to extract all the data in one paper, right? So you need to be clear about that, and you can correlate with the methodology, population, intervention, or treatment, or that you want to compare or overcomes from the finding. Okay, so this is an example that I mentioned just now about the form, the data extraction form. So it listed here. So this is just example, the template. Study details, author, objective, participant, settings, search details, sources, range, number of study included. So this is basically just simple method, the way you want to extract the data, like from whole, full text, lengthy article. So you extract it in a form of data extraction here. Okay, so you will collect all those information needed here. And then you need to give consideration what effect measure you are going to calculate, what data you need to do this. So I already explained just now, and how you're planning to group studies for the analysis, by intervention or by study design, right? By chronological order. It depends on you. Okay, so extract sufficient information to describe the study, to allow you to undertake the plan analysis, to help you to answer your research question. So you do not need to return to the full text paper, because you already have your form, right? You already know, like from 50 out of 55, there are 2 papers discussed about point A, for example. So you don't have to go to the full text and read again. It's better for you to have like a form like this. Okay, extract data, extract some information, sufficient information, but not too much. Don't waste time extracting nice to have but unnecessary detail. I got lots of questions, like I don't know which point that I want to take from that full text article. It's kind of interesting to me, everything like interesting to you, so you don't know which part you want to analyze, right? So it's better for you to be clear about what you want to analyze. Let's say out of 55, 5 papers, you find that you want to talk about the study design, okay, and other 5 or other 6, you want to talk about this point A in introduction. So you discuss. So you need to be, so you think critically of what you are going to analyze. Okay, you do not have to take everything, otherwise you just wasting your time, plagiarism other people work. Okay, so this is one form of data extraction. I've seen some of your friends have some kind of this extraction data for literature review, and I find it very good. You know, she's be able to generate something like this. It's very good. Means that she read the full text article and able to extract the data in a form of table like this. So this is just an example. You can follow if you want. Okay, now focus on summarizing and synthesizing the data. So after you extract the data, you need to summarize and synthesize into form of literature review, your own literature review. Okay, so you need to use your own word to summarize and synthesize the topic from the literature. So what do we know about the immediate area? What are the key arguments, key characteristics, key concepts, key figures? What are the existing debates or theories? What common methodology are used? So this is example number 1, how to summarize the previous literature. So Normadin has demonstrated what? Early work by Hausman, Schwartz, and Graves was concerned with what? Elsted and Stern compared algorithm for handling of what? Additional work by Kosaba et al., Zadeva and Perry et al. Deals with what? So this is how you summarize point that you want to take from the literature. Okay, so this is example number 2. So for one good paragraph have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 3 referencing to previous study. So under the restriction of small population, four possible ways were presented. So the first one from the first reference. So Griffith and Mai apply advanced 2-dimensional blah 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 So the second way is to adjust change probability. So the third way is blah, 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 blah. So this is how you summarize and synthesize. Like I said, one paragraph, you need to talk about point A. So you find from your literature review which paper that describe about the point A, and then you summarize it. Okay, so this is example number 3, also the same. Different, sorry for interruption, wait. Sorry. So in one paragraph have, different literature or reference that is related. So that is how you summarize. So you go back and look at the example that I gave here. Okay. So how to summarize the most important question. So the first step, you need to read the original text and get a full understanding for the whole text. Okay, so you may need to reread few times the original sources and look up the meaning of keywords to fully understand it. And I always advise the data extraction is important part, because when you only read the full text, you cannot remember all. Let's say you are able to retrieve 20 articles, so you cannot remember all the what is said in that articles, in that 20 articles. So data extraction form is very helpful, So when reading, ask yourself, what is the overall message? What are the key points? So you have to understand the message first in order for you to generate your own words for summarizing. Okay, concentrate on the essential and leave out details. An example, put the source aside, state it key point in your own words. Yes, when you do this, you are ready to write your summary. Finally, proofread, revise, and edit your summary as necessary. Read again your summary, whether you're paraphrasing it correctly or not. Otherwise, if like 90% similarity, it's already plagiarism, right? Okay, so I give example here to ease your understanding, the original source. So you can read it here, but the summary is very short but concise. Fayette Moore et al. 2017 found that 40% of adolescent girls compared to 8% of boys are likely to have inadequate amount of iron in their diet in spite of sufficient protein intake. They attribute this to a tendency to avoid foods derived from animals. Very concise. So this is a very example of good summarizing. It summarizes the main point in own words without changing the meaning or adding additional point not mentioned in the original text. It is also correctly referenced. Okay, so you better go back and read through the original source here that I put it here and try to, practice this kind of summary in your writing. Okay, and next, when you already extract the data, you summarize and synthesize it. So you need to do comparison and critiques. So I already teach you how to do critical appraisal, basically to evaluate the strength and weakness of the work. Okay. So this is just important strategy that you need to apply in your writing. Instead of just accumulating points and summarizing it, you also can do a comparison and also critiques about the strength or weakness of the previous work. Okay, for example, in this ambiguous but flawed study, Jones and Wang discuss about what? Okay, this general result reflecting the stochastic nature of the flow of goods are similar to those reported by Rosenblatt and Rowe. So this is some kind of weakness because it is already reported or have similar reference to other study. So this is another way you can present it in your writing. So I give you another example here of comparison and critiques. I think you can read through, and also the example number 3. how to do the comparison and the critique. Okay. And when you already have your information in your literature, so how you're going to put it all together to organize it. Okay. Basically, what you do is you evaluate and interpret all the data that in the literature analysis, you put it in a chronological development, or let's say you want to discuss it in a form of time frame, or you want to do a debate for it. It depends on you how you are going to organize your point of your paragraph. Okay, points in the paragraph. So you need to answer all these question. Okay. So the next thing you need to do is the evaluation and interpretation of the data that you summarize and synthesize and compare and critiques. And also you need to generate a conclusion for that literature. Okay. Okay, so you need to have your own interpretation. How I made a have I made a well-informed decision? How good was my information seeking? Is it enough that I already or only retrieved 20 articles? So you ask yourself this question. Has my research been wide enough to ensure all relevant material is included, or there could be some important point or paper that you could be missed? Has it been narrow enough to exclude irrelevant material? Have I critically analyzed the literature I use, or I just, you know, you just agree with what the paper are saying? Instead of just listing and summarizing research, do I assess them, discuss the strength and weakness? So you have to ask yourself this type of question when before you comes with a conclusion for your literature. Okay. Okay, so this is just protocol template for systematic review. This is just a very basic template. So for background, you can ask about what are the vital population if you do, let's say, quantitative or qualitative. So important characteristic. So background also discuss the relevance, the rationale, justification, and also specification. What are the PICO elements that related to your topic? Okay, so you can put it in your background. And for method, you can discuss about research strategy, selection criteria, what are the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So you can put your the flow I showed you just now from 12,000, and then you pick like 55. That is the selection criteria. And you can assess the quality, data extraction, data synthesis. So you can ask your question. You can ask this question, you know, for your writing. And also for process, the resources, what are the findings of the reviews, okay. And also the timetable, the protocol, data extraction, quality assessment, draft, how long you want to study, like your timeline, searching and study selection, you want to spend how long, so that your time manageable, okay. Okay. So the next thing I want to teach today is to do the effective paraphrasing, because when I evaluate your proposal, your assignment, or maybe not test, but maybe students' assignments, student assignment, students' proposal, I found that the undergraduate students having difficulty in paraphrasing sentence or paragraph effectively. They have like more than 50% similarity to the original source of sentence or paragraph. So that's the weakness. So you need to learn about how to do the effective paraphrasing. So you need to have guideline to do that. Okay, paraphrasing is what? Paraphrasing is using your own word to explain what others have said. Okay, not just copy and paste, but you need to understand and explain using your own words, your understanding. Okay, it is essential skill for literature review. I think not only for literature review, when you write or analyze your findings. So paraphrasing is very important. Okay, the key to doing it well is to first understand what you have read. Try looking at the source as a whole, and again, I repeat, try to practice the 4 reading strategy that I already teach you previous weeks. Okay, so poor academic practice usually contribute to poor paraphrasing. Okay, so how to paraphrase? So I give you a step here. It's the same step when you want to summarize the data from the previous study. So the first step is to read the original article and get a full understanding of it. You may need to read the original text few times, okay? But if you have a very good strategy to understand the full text, you can apply, okay? Check the meaning of keywords to fully understand it. And while you're reading, think about the overall meaning of each paragraph or section. Don't just focus on the individual word or sentence. And after each paragraph or section, put the reading aside and state in your own word. When you can do this, you are ready to write your paraphrase. Finally, proofread, revise, and edit your paraphrase are necessary. Like in my opinion, you do not have to be so fluent in English in order for you to generate effective paraphrasing. But the most important thing is to be able to understand the whole sentence that you want, the whole sentence or the point before you are able to paraphrase it by yourself using a simple word. But as long as it summarizes effectively about what you're understanding, it's enough. Okay. Okay, so I give you an example because talking alone is difficult to understand, right? So I generate an example for you. So this is original article from Van Endem, 2001, Effective Communication for Science and Technology. Basic paragraph. The subject is the transition from school to higher education. So you can read here. The relationship between teacher and thought is different. Students no longer have a tightly structured day which they are more or less compelled to follow. The amount of work achieved is largely the concern of the individuals. New students suddenly find they have responsibility that they have never had to consider before, such as accommodation, food, and budgeting. Okay, so now how to paraphrase this point? Okay, so paraphrasing example number 1 from student. So teachers and thought have a different relationship. There is no tightly structured day which students are compelled to follow, more and less. It is the concern of the individual, what amount of work they achieve, food, budgeting, and accommodation are amongst the responsibility that new student will find that they have never experienced before. So so the student put reference here. So to me, this is a very bad piece of writing, the very bad paraphrasing, because you can see there are similar words here, but he just move around, you know, budgeting, the last one, accommodation, food, and budgeting, right? So move here, and teachers move here to so the words are merely just move around. Okay, so the meaning is not lari from the original one, but I would consider this is plagiarism because there are same word is still in this paragraph, but you just move around with that paragraph. Just want to make sure that it is not the same with this one, but actually this is almost like 90% similar with this one. Okay. Okay, paraphrasing number 2. Students work differently with their teachers. Okay. The day is not planned out strictly with mandatory classes at all times. Students must keep a track on their own workload. There will be a range of new concerns like living condition and finance. Okay, so it's stated here it is still a bad paraphrasing. Why? Because it is structured and written so similarly to the original. Okay, if you understand this paragraph, you will find that this is the same structured in terms of meaning to the original source, but he used different types of wording here. But overall, it's just a similar meaning in terms of the meaning and structure to the first, the original source. Okay. So good paraphrasing involves breaking free from the original sources. So how? So look at this one. Students will find they have more independence and more personal responsibility. It is up to them to do their work, attend their class, and look after non-academic concern, possibly for the first time. And then good, he referenced it correctly here. So here is the piece of paraphrase, well-paraphrased paragraph, condensing the passage into its essential information. So essential information is that the student paraphrasing this in his own understanding, but the meaning actually doesn't vary from that original source. Okay, so you go back and try to differentiate these different types of paraphrasing to the original source. Okay, so so if you look at here, in this case, the writer has demonstrated that the original piece was not a list for its own sake. It was using the list format to convey the message that higher education would involve more independent action by the students. So always look for the overall message in a piece. Sometimes you can find the main point that he wants to tell is actually the last part, right? And then he well paraphrase it in terms of full sentence with a correct reference here. So the most important thing is to understand the main point, what the author wants to say. Okay, this is the same, the second example, not the same, but second example, the original sources here, and then the types of paraphrasing. So this is an example of good paraphrasing. The original text has been changed substantially in terms of vocabulary and sentence structure without changing the original meaning. The paraphrase has also been referenced correctly. Okay. So you go back and you look at this paraphrasing example and practice it in your writing. Okay. So one thing I want to show you is about, okay, I just finished first. There are 2 more slides. So the most important thing is, okay, in terms of your time, be organized with your time, your writing structure, you just be organized. And I really encourage if you can use the software package like EndNote, because you can organize all of your reference or abstract, or you can retrieve your full text article in there. Okay, so you don't have to generate a PDF form and store it in just one folder. And it's very difficult for you to retrieve the article that you wanted later, right?